Well, it is a tough time to be a Chicago sports fan. Things have not been going well for our local teams. Thank goodness the Chicago Bulls season is right around the corner. The Bulls report to training camp next Monday at the Advocate Center. They'll hold their annual Media Day festivities, and then the first practice is going to be at Belmont College in Nashville as Billy Donovan takes the guys on the road for training camp. And Stacey, you won't be in Nashville, will you?
No.
I'm contractually obligated to ask.
Hey, listen, no. I'll be there when it counts.
Training camps are in the rearview mirror for Stacey King, right?
Yeah, I'll be watching it from the TV.
Yeah.
I'll be watching the news clips and
you get all the reports. Yeah,
get all the reports.
Whispers, how you doing today?
Well, it's another post-mortem, huh?
Oh my gosh! You know, it got so bad. We knew right away when you saw the shots in the press box of Travis Kelce's number one fan that Taylor Swift was going to be a big part of the story. But once it got to be 41-0, that's all they were going to talk about. You know,
I mean, I would have played harder in front of Taylor Swift. I mean, it's got to mean something.
Did you hear what Bill Belichick said today? He was asked about it. Normally, Bill Belichick doesn't say anything to the local media. He said, Travis Kelce's made a lot of great catches in his career. That might be his best one. That's a pretty good line by Coach Bill. Huh?
For a guy who has the personality of a pet rock, that was a pretty good one. Way to go, Bill.
Hallmark moment.
Bill Belichick stepping out. How much of the game did you guys power through? Did you watch the whole game?
I watched the whole game.
Did you? Okay.
I watched the whole game because you know what? I want to see like what adjustments they were going to make at halftime because the game was technically over at halftime. Yeah. I wanted to see if they come out and open up the playbook a little bit in the second half and said, hey, well, you know what? We got nothing to lose. Let's just throw it around the yard. You know, and that's when you need that Willie Beeman moment with Justin Fields and Al Pacino pulls him to the side. Remember when Willie Beeman comes to the sideline? Coach, they're everywhere. Defense, I can't see. They're everywhere. He goes, wait a minute. Let me tell you something. Just look, you remember you used to play outside in the yard and you used to run to the side and you saw the car. Just throw it to the car as far as you can. Somebody will catch it. That's what he should have did. Just turn into Willie Beeman. Just let him throw the ball. Get out and run. Because if you remember in the second half, they tried to run him on quarterback draws and stuff like that. And why don't you do that in the first half?
Right.
Don't get down 34-0 and then say, hey, let's turn him loose.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Now you're putting him in a position to get hurt. It's like, come on now.
And he did take a big hit in the second half. So fortunately, the reports, we're going to talk to Mark Grote, our Bears insider, in just a few minutes. But the initial reports on most of the injuries are not too severe. So we're hoping that most of the guys who got banged up yesterday will be ready to go. And this is how bad it's gotten for the Bears. The Denver Broncos come to Soldier Field this coming Sunday. They are 0-3 as well, coming off a 70-20 haymaker at the hands of the Miami Dolphins. And the Denver Broncos are favored. Can you believe that?
Now that hurts. But we did hit 32 on the ranking.
And I watched that game too.
Yeah.
Miami's the real deal.
Oh, Tua.
Hey, I'm going to tell you something. Tua, first of all, if he's staying healthy, the way he gets rid of the ball, he is, I mean, I think he's got the fastest time from release. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the wide receivers, they played without Waddle yesterday, and they still put up 70. So imagine if he was playing. Their running game is good. They finally played the rookie, Archain, I think that's his last name. Yeah, I went, America. If you didn't go pick him up in your fantasy league, you better go get him now because he's still available. But I know in my fantasy league, as soon as I saw him run for that long touchdown run, I was like, who's this dude? Let me see if he's still available. And he was available. So he's on my team now.
And I think Sean Payton was calling Fox Sunday night and wondering if his job is still available over there because he came in with a lot of fanfare. Remember how he ripped the Jets coach for doing such a bad job with the Broncos? And now they're 0-3 and Russell Wilson's still struggling.
See, that's why you just have to worry about your team.
Yeah, karma's a bitch.
Just worry about your team. Worry about your team, and because you don't know what you have right now.
Right.
You just think because it's Denver and they have, pretty much have always had pretty decent teams in Denver that you're just this miracle worker. You're going to turn them completely around and make them a Super Bowl contender. And then you're talking trash about the last coach who left. Well, he won games there last year. I mean, he had a little success, even though
not much,
but a lot of that had to do with Russell Wilson, though. I mean, Russell Wilson having his own coach's office and telling the players, "Hey, you know what? If you need to talk to me, just come up to my office." Like, you're the quarterback. Like, why would I want to go to your office? Why do you even have an office up there with the coaches? That made no sense. So the team was divided. So it's going to be interesting to see, what Payton does. Whose fault is it going to be? Is it going to be Russell Wilson's fault? Is it going to be his offensive coordinator's fault? They got a lot of things they got to figure out.
Well, we mentioned Bill Belichick earlier, and they did get a win beating the Jets. Zach Wilson was terrible again, but a lot of people thought that Bill Belichick was the driving force behind all those Super Bowl championships, and of course you do give him a lot of the credit, but Tom Brady was the guy that made it go. And now Sean Payton comes in with a lot of fanfare. He's finding out that, hey, I don't have Drew Brees anymore, so think my offensive genius plays aren't working as well as I thought they were going to.
No, and they also had weapons. I mean, New Orleans had a lot of weapons.
Yeah.
You had Reggie Bush at one period of time. You had a lot of good receivers out there. The problem with Denver right now is that they can't run the ball.
Yeah.
And the Bears in the same situation. They can run the ball, but they choose not to run the ball. The running backs are pretty decent for the Bears. They just don't give them the ball enough. I mean, I mean, you're seeing these guys getting 4 or 5 yards a carry, and then all of a sudden they kind of forget that they had a little success, and now they want to throw the ball to receivers who all are running the same routes. When you look at the passing tree, okay, when you look at the passing tree for the Bears, it just seems like everybody's running the same route. So then when you're looking, when Fields is looking to throw to someone, not only do you have 2 receivers in the same area, but you also have defenders there. So there's no one open. So you've got to get a little bit more distance between the receivers. Someone's got to run short. I mean, where are the tight ends? Why are the tight ends? The tight ends are not even being used.
Komet would have had a touchdown yesterday if he had just thrown it right to him. 6-7 yards? Boom. He didn't throw that.
You know what? And go back to the RPOs.
Yeah.
Go back to the RPOs, man. Go back to the fake dive to the running back. Sometimes give it to him, sometimes not, and play that way. Play more free. Play more college style play for this kid. Stop trying to make him Aaron Rodgers. He's not Aaron Rodgers, okay? He's not Aaron Rodgers. It's the same thing with Baltimore realized that Lamar Jackson is not a traditional passer. He's an athlete. He's a runner, and he's a quarterback. So we're going to play to his strengths. The Bears need to recognize that and stop trying to make this kid be a pocket passer and putting so much stuff in his head, because he's got so many people telling him what he should be doing, and from his coaching staff to probably people on the outside telling him what he should be doing. And you could just see he looks confused out there. Like he doesn't look as confident as he did last year.
Looking around the NFL, a lot of people are ready to crown the Dallas Cowboys as the Super Bowl favorites after they destroyed both the New York Giants and the New York Jets, and then they go and play the Arizona Cardinals, and they lay a big flat you-know-what, because they got beaten pretty soundly by the Cardinals, who, going in, appeared to be one of the worst teams in the league.
No, the Cardinals have been in some really tough games. They were blowing the Giants out and then ended up losing. So they've been playing pretty decent, and so that's not really a shock. Dallas, I'm telling you right now.
It's not a shock that Dallas lost?
No, it's not a shock. Because
Arizona starts Joshua Dobbs at quarterback.
Arizona, look at the numbers, their first 2 games. They were winning both of those games, and they just lost at the end. But Dallas is not a team, even though their defense has been really solid the first few games. Dak Prescott is not the quarterback for me. I'm sorry. I can't trust him in big games. I can't trust him to make decisions when the game is on the line. And that's why Jerry Jones went out and got Trey Lance from the 49ers. That's why he did that. Because if he really, really trusted Dak, he wouldn't have done that. Not this early in the season.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have done that.
And the Dak doubters are out in force again.
I'm one of them.
After they lose to the Cardinals. While we wait for Mark Grote to join us, let's talk about the one Chicago team that is doing well. That is the Chicago Cubs. They swept a weekend series from the Colorado Rockies, so now they have a 1-game lead over the Miami Marlins for that 3rd wild card spot. They got some help this afternoon. We're taping on Monday afternoon. The New York Yankees beat the Arizona Diamondbacks in a makeup game. So now the Cubs are tied. We could update that, Cisco. They're tied now for the 2nd spot, although the Cubs don't have the tiebreaker in any of those situations because they lost the season series to all those teams. But the Cubs have found signs of life. They were 3-10 during that one stretch, but they got 3 in a row from Colorado. Now they go on the road to play Atlanta and Milwaukee. Both of those teams have already clinched playoff spots.
Well, I mean, I could see Atlanta arresting some of their players, but Atlanta's still a deep team.
Yeah.
I could see them having a tough time against Atlanta. I think Milwaukee is going to be a team that if they have a chance to put the Cubs out,
they'd love to do that.
They're going to do that. They're going to play their main guys. I could just see that happening because of the rivalry between the two organizations.
And the way Cubs fans travel, normally it's now called American Family Field. It's 60% Cubs fans.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's the same. It's just the same when the Bulls play up. At the the Pfizer now. It used to be the Bradley
Forum,
Center.
yeah.
But because it's a short trip and easy to get up there, and it's fun. It's a good rivalry. It's a very good rivalry, and both these teams want to beat each other. And I think if Milwaukee has a chance to put the Cubs out, if the Cubs are there solid, then I see Milwaukee resting their players.
Yeah, and David Ross kind of rolling the dice late in the season. Marcus Stroman, who missed about a month and a half because of 2 different injuries, came back. He threw 1 inning of relief in 2 separate games, and then Ross decided to start him in a game last week, and it didn't go real well. I know that Stroman, as any athlete, wants to be a part of this, wants to help his team get to the playoffs, but right now I wonder whether he's physically ready to take on that starting load.
Well, in his mind, he is. I think if you're Ross, you got to try to give him a little bit at a time, just get his confidence back, because he was struggling before he went on the injury reserve list. So, you just want him to be mentally ready. We know physically he's going to be fine, that they're clearing him to play. But I think you just give him a little bit, couple innings there, middle relief, maybe come in, before you bring in your closer, just to get his confidence up and building up confidence going into a playoff series.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, we put up the starting matchups. Justin Steele will pitch the opener in Atlanta. Then, if he's needed, he'll pitch the last game of the season in Milwaukee if they need to win that game to get into the postseason. Whispers, did you see the standing ovations given to Chris Bryant over the weekend? That was the first time he's been back at Wrigley Field because he's been injured so many times.
Yeah, he's still a fan favorite, but he doesn't have that same game.
It's kind of sad, isn't it? I mean, obviously he's paid. He's going to take care of future generations of his family. He got the big contract, but we remember Chris Bryant, the 2016 National League MVP, hit big home runs throughout the playoff push, and now he's trying to find it again. As he's pushing 30.
Not with those injuries, though.
Yeah.
I think you got to sign off.
That's really, you always wonder about that, Stacey, because no matter how much money an athlete is paid, you want to go out there and perform at the level you're accustomed to. It's got to really hurt him, regardless of what the paycheck looks like on the 1st and 15th.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, this is a guy who played at the highest level for many, many years in a Cubs uniform. And, he remembers how he used to be. And so that's his mindset, is trying to get back or get as close to that as possible. His mind's never going to be quit. His mind's never like, me retire, let me collect checks. His mind's not like that. His mind is trying to get back to playing at a high level where he can help his team. It's just really unfortunate because, he was a talented player. He still is a talented player. He just had so many injuries, and that's what happens to guys. It's like, same thing with Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose was on the way to being a Hall of Fame, legit Hall of Fame, no questions asked Hall of Fame. He still may be in the Hall of Fame. But with the injuries that he sustained, and you say what could have been if he would have stayed healthy, same thing with Chris Bryant. A lot of these guys who get injured, and then you're like, wow, man, I remember when he was doing this or doing that, and he's not doing that anymore.
So if you're watching us live on YouTube and you're thinking, we're looking for something to watch tonight, NBA TV is having a Bulls Day with some of the classic games in Bulls history. Before we came on the air, I was watching Game 1 of the Boston Bulls series in 2009 with Derrick Rose scored 36 points. That was fantastic. They're going to air Game 6 as well. They're going to air Game 5 of the Bulls-Lakers series, the first championship in 91. That's tonight. And they're going to have a game from 94, the Scottie Pippen throwing Patrick Ewing to the ground with the dunk.
There's some great memories, man. I tell you. I just hope that we see that again here in Chicago. That we made it look so easy during those championship years. Like, you just expected the Bulls to win championships. Once we got over that hump from Detroit and we were able to get push through that, and then we beat the Lakers in the first championship, and then we win the second one. People were yelling 8-peat, and we all thought they were crazy.
Yeah,
but they really weren't crazy because I said, if Michael Jordan had not retired and went to go play baseball and chase curveballs, we probably would have won 8. So I just hope this team can get back to that, because there is no better place when you're winning like Chicago. No better place. No better place.
We're going to talk Bulls in our next segment. Stacey's broadcast partner, Adam Amin, is going to join us. So we'll talk plenty of Bulls basketball, talk about Damian Lillard's situation, what could happen to him before training camp begins. But now we're going to bring in our buddy, Mark Grote, from his, where are you at? Are you at Hallis Hall or are you at home, Grote?
I am actually at Hallis Hall.
Oh, there you go.
Picking up the pieces at the hall today.
You got too much backlight, Grote. You got to get a lighting specialist in there. You got to get that light.
What if I move in front of the light like that? How about that?
Don't go towards the light. Don't go towards the light, because you might never come back.
Hey, Grote, you look like Patrick Swayze in Ghost, man. That's what you look like.
Oh man, I'm already pale enough. I remember that reminds me of when I did a TV appearance once, and I believe it was at Fox 32, and they had a makeup person then, and she looked at me and all she said was, you need a tan. I'm like, okay.
I thought she was going to hit you with you got a face for radio. That's that
Yeah,
one.
well,
Worse.
that's already built in. That's the next level radio guy jokes.
Don't listen to her, Mark. Don't listen. You don't need to.
Well, Mark, driving over here to get ready for the taping, I heard your appearance on The Score, and make sure that you listen to our friends at The Score. Mark does outstanding coverage throughout the week on the Bears, and it's already turned into a death march after 3 games. What can they do to possibly turn this around? I know they're kind of whistling in the graveyard over at Hallis Hall, but they're so bad on both sides of the ball, you wonder what the spark could be that could turn this thing around.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was trying to figure out today, and I was very curious as to what they would say out here in Lake Forest. And, with the thing that Matt Eberflus kept talking about was micro it down to the individuals and really start to pick apart fundamentally what has gone wrong with the players. And, there's a get back to the basic sort of orientation that Matt Eberflus seems to be touting right now. I mean, I don't know if that's a good idea or if that's sort of a desperate move because they just don't have the talent right now. But yeah, it's really discouraging because, where do we go from here? There is no part of the team which you look at and say, yeah, that's a bright spot, or, okay, we can definitely build on that. It just doesn't exist at any position group right now for the Bears. Now, I guess the one good thing that you could look at right now, if we are looking, how do the Bears, where do they go from here? Well, at least they are playing a Denver team, which has got its own issues. So maybe there is a chance for some sort of execution in this game, which we've just seen none of in these first 3 games. Like I was kind of joking about, I don't remember if it was on air or off air at this point, but about you have these 3 losses and you could rank, like, how would you rank them? Because they've all been their own little horror stories and worst case scenarios for each game, out of which nothing redeeming came.
One of the I watched the game yesterday, and one of the things that I came away, especially after halftime, it just looks like their offense is so robotic. I kind of like to see them go back to the RPOs and get a little bit more, movement where he's faking dives to the halfback or giving it to him, making his own personal reads, Mark, like he did last year. Also, the receivers look like it takes them too long to get out of the break. Because you got to understand, if they're watching film, which I know they are, they know that he's getting pressured. They know that the teams are sending everybody at this kid. If your route is saying run a square in, 10 and in, you might have to cut that short. You might want to turn around after about 6 yards and look to bail him out, because it just seems like he's looking and guys are still running their routes and he's looking at the back of their helmets. And it's like he has no one to throw to because all of a sudden here comes like 5 or 6 people and he's running for his life.
Yeah, man, a lot to unpack there. And, the irony to your point about him looking robotic is that it was their goal this week to become less robotic. And as Justin Fields said, F it, get out there and, do some things with the offense that make you more comfortable out there. And it didn't seem like anybody could accommodate that. And, to your point about the wide receivers too, not only, maybe not supplying the safety valve factor that you're talking about, there were also a couple of plays that bugged me specifically about the receivers. And that was, DJ Moore had a bad drop in this game. Justin Fields did throw a bomb to him at one point in time that was a beautiful pass, the kind of pass that makes you say, okay, that's Justin Fields right there. And DJ Moore straight up dropped it. Then there was the downfield pass to Chase Claypool, a 50-50 play, and Claypool didn't make the play. And look, I know by nature it's a 50-50 ball, so I shouldn't be saying he should make it because he's got a 50% chance if we're playing the 50-50 ball game. But that's part of the symbolic of what that guy is here to do, to be the big-bodied receiver that wins those 50-50 balls when they go up. And I just didn't like the optics of him not making that particular play. So, not getting as much help from his receivers, but, Justin Fields still not identifying every open player, still not making the connection on a few of those downfield attempts that he had. So it continues to be just this collective failure for the Bears offense.
And of course, now the national media and even some of the local media are starting to project where the Bears might draft next year, the possibility of getting Caleb Williams and possibly Marvin Harrison Jr., because as everyone knows, they own the Carolina Panthers' first pick from that trade last year, and the Panthers are also 0-3. I mean, we're 3 games into this, especially for guys like you and I who have to cover this on a daily basis. This is broadcasting hell.
I know. Well, unless we get what we had last Wednesday every week. Like, if we could generate that kind of craziness out of Hallis Hall, then there'll be something. But yeah, look, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's still a huge story. Like if there is a downfall occurring for Justin Fields and the Bears and their regime, it is interesting for a few weeks. Like right now, it is still quote unquote very interesting that the Bears are 0-3 as we try to dissect it and try to figure out the whys and who to blame. But as we found out last year, as the losses start to pile up, it goes from entertaining to mundane. It just goes to how much worse can it be, and what is interesting about this team. And as I said, as of right now, anyway, there's not a whole heck of a lot that is redeeming. So I guess you got to depend in the NFLing, as in the Bears, have a winnable game, dare I say, on Sunday. And there are winnable games left on their schedule. If you can wrap your head around the idea that it is only 3 weeks of the season, then God bless you.
Well, Mark, they've got to figure a way to get some pressure on the quarterback. They are not getting any kind of sustainable pressure on quarterbacks that they're facing, which every quarterback looks like they're all pro. I mean, you go back to Baker Mayfield the week before, he looked like the second coming to Tom Brady. It's just like, it's like, okay, come on now. Like, can we get a sack? Can we get some blitz packages in there or something just to kind of disrupt the rhythm of these quarterbacks?
The answer is no, Stacey. There will be none of that funny stuff. No pressure, no nothing from the Bears. I am sorry to report to you. It is the biggest problem with their defense. And this is something we were talking about on the score too. And that is, and unfortunately for Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, the 2 high-priced linebackers that they picked up, they're not looking good right now either, because there isn't the benefit of the pressure up front. There is Yannick Ngakoue he's gotten to the quarterback, but he's not finishing at the quarterback. And I don't, DeMarcus Walker has popped into your TV, a couple of times on close plays, but it's just like, is it going to have to be a safe? Is Jaquan Brisker going to end up leading the team in sacks again this year? So far the 2 young guys, Jevon Dexter and Zach Pickens, I guess to some degree, understandably, have really not picked things up particularly well yet. Justin Jones, their 3 technique tackle, is just not a dynamic player up there in terms of getting the push. And that affects everybody. All of a sudden, Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, who come from unbelievable programs at Buffalo and Philadelphia, they're running for their lives and they're looking bad and they're not making plays. And then, of course, you've got the banged up secondary behind them. And how long can you expect those guys back there as well? If they're not getting the benefit of pressure, that's not going to be very helpful for their jobs either. So yeah, up front, it continues to be confounding how bad it is.
So other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you enjoy the play?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
come
the
on.
problem, man. Usually we have something or somebody that is like interesting that you can still follow, and I just can't. I'm not trying to be so negative, but I just can't find it yet.
No, there is nothing positive at this point. And,
I know.
And it's a sad situation. The one good thing, hopefully the Broncos come in. Sean Payton has really messed that thing up over there, and the Bears can get a win and maybe get a little bit of momentum. Before we let you go, I want to ask you a quick question. Did you get your hot sauce yet?
I have not gotten.
Whispers.
You gotta check your mailbox there, Mark.
He's still going to check your mailbox route.
Wow.
However, I will say, I'm sorry, Whispers. I just wanted to see what it would be like to throw you under the bus. I will actually say I have not checked my mail in the last couple of days. I'm a single guy who doesn't check his mail every day. I'm sorry, it's my fault.
He's out on the town. He'll get to his hot sauce later.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully next Monday we'll talk about a Bears win, okay?
All right. Take care, guys.
All right.
Take it easy, bud.
Mark Grote, our Bears insider, joining us live from Hallis Hall. Whispers, did you really drop the ball on that?
No, it's absolutely went out.
What did you put, like
I'll send him a tracking number.
the slowest postage possible? Did you send it in regular mail?
No, it was by
UPS.
pigeon. He's going to drop the box down in Mark's mailbox.
Take a look right now.
Look,
All right, while you check on that, let's tell you about one of our great sponsors who always comes through in the clutch. That's our guy, Jeff Vukovic. When it comes to insurance for your auto, home, and business, make sure you contact the king of insurance. It's our friend, nationwide agent Jeff Vukovic. You know, he's suffering like the rest of us. He's one of the biggest Chicago sports fans out there. He's at all the games, and he's not very happy about what's going on with the Bears either. If you have insurance needs, you can reach Jeff at jeffvuk.com. That's jeffvuk.com. His phone number, if you got a pen and paper handy, 847-825-4783. That's our friend, nationwide agent Jeff Vukovic. And before long, Stacey's going to be back on the air singing this jingle a few times a week.
Nationwide is on your side.
Oh, a very nice version on this Monday afternoon.
I don't want to send a shout out to Jeff. Jeff, I know right now you're on the ledge. You want to jump off. You know, the Cubs are doing well. The White Sox struggled.
Yeah.
You know, the Bears are struggling right now. But the Bulls are back, baby. we're gonna hold up the city, baby. Remember this. You heard it here first on Give Me the Hot Sauce. The Bulls are gonna hold up their end of the bargain, baby. I don't know how the Blackhawks are gonna do, but I just know the Bulls are gonna hold up their end of the bargain.
Yeah, well, the Blackhawks have that exciting young rookie Connor Bedard, so that'll create a lot of interest no matter what. All right, Whispers, what'd you find out?
Not there yet.
Still looking for
my goodness.
Why don't you tell the folks how they can get their own bottle of hot sauce?
Why don't you tell us how you're
rather
packing
than this
it?
futile search?
I doubt if you're packing anymore.
Yeah,
Well, you know,
that guy Whispers.
you can't count on this guy to send stuff out. That's why I'm going to have to start packing. I got a little free time now with the strike. So I think it's time for me to pick up the slack around here.
There's a lot of slack.
A lot.
And, you know, it is barbecue season for fall now. Not that I'm going to invite you guys over for any beans or ribs or anything, but
Oh, well, we know that.
if you want to get some sauce, go to GimmeTheHotSauce.com. That's GIMME, thehotsauce.com. Or go to Jules.
Go to your local Jewel Osco in Chicagoland. It's on the shelves, and you can look forward to all 4 varieties coming real soon, right, Whispers?
That's right. It should be in time for Christmas. If not, go to the website and use the code WalkInQ and get some free bottles for the family.
There you go. And we hope Mark Grote gets his sauce next week because it's
we may have to deliver
joke.
it personally to him, man. Our reputation's on the line.
Yeah,
when our guests come on here,
get it done, I'll take it to Hallis.
Yeah, you know what?
Soldier Field
Listen, I'll hitch it up to a little wagon with some squirrels, and we'll send it down to Hallis Hall. Okay, just let us know. Let us know.
Well, Stacey's talking about an exciting bowl season ahead. His broadcast partner, Adam Amin, joins us. We're looking forward to the start of training camp next week. We'll talk all things NBA with Adam. That's next on Give Me the Hot Sauce. Oh, we got a special treat for you now. Our good buddy Adam Amin joins us after racing home from Detroit. Tell that story. You were telling it off the air. I mean, it's pretty crazy that you decided that, a 50-minute flight? You were going to take the drive instead. Tell that story.
I mean, these are little things. Stacey, you've dealt with this. Mark, I'm sure you guys have dealt with this before. Like, these are the little things that are byproducts of getting to do a fun job where you get to travel all over the country and cover games and cover sports. And one of the things that you're at the mercy of is our American travel system. And oftentimes airlines and planes are volatile when it comes to how often and how cleanly they're running. So we got on the plane. We had a Lions-Falcons game yesterday. We all cruised to the airport. Nice, easy. We get a drink. We get a meal. We're about to get on the plane, fly home. We get on the plane. I'm ready to fly home. And then they're like, we got a mechanical issue. So it's going to be 20 minutes. Then 20 minutes, as you guys know, turns into 40, turns into 60. And then eventually we got to deplane. So we all get off the plane. Everybody's angry and frustrated, as understandably they can be. And I go, you know what? I know how I've seen this story before, right? I know how this story ends. They're going to push this flight and push this flight and push this flight and either cancel it or this thing's not taking off till midnight. So I said, you know what? Let's make the executive decision at 8 o'clock. I got a rental car, 4-hour drive. I got some McDonald's. I got a filet fish sandwich and a Coke to get some caffeine in me. And I rode 4 hours straight home. And I got to my apartment, inside my apartment at midnight. That flight didn't land at O'Hare until about 1 in the morning.
That's a big win. But is Fox
little mathematical win?
Is Fox going to red flag that expense report for the car?
I'm going to red flag their booking of that particular flight. That's what I'm going to tell them. Yeah. Got to go get it. We got to go reimbursed for it. But hey, man, I was happy to be home and not. And at least you feel like you're doing something. You're driving.
Progress.
You feel like you're moving. There's progress. You can talk to people. I can call my friends. I can call my parents or whatever. Like, that's a big deal, you know?
Well, you know, we're going to change. We're going to hold off on the Bulls talk. We want to talk the Bears right now, man. Like, it's, you know what? Maybe you can help me because, you know a lot about the Bears. Maybe you can get me off the ledge right now. I'm devastated right now. Like it just looks like this team is in complete shambles. They don't know which direction they want to go, offensively, defensively. They're trying to figure it out as they go, and you just can't figure it out as you go in this league because you're gonna end up chalking up a lot of losses as you're trying to do that.
Yeah, it's frustrating to watch because we went into the preseason. I called the preseason games, and there's always promise in the preseason. There's always energy. There's always a positive outlook. Just that's how sports are, right? You start a new season, you start fresh, and that's how you come in, and then you see what the expectations are recalibrated as when you get to the end of the preseason. And I didn't know what the expectations were supposed to be anymore because we did not get a great look at Justin Fields in the preseason. We did not get a great look at the full offensive complement because of the offensive line injuries that they had. We didn't see Chase Claypool in the preseason. We didn't see a lot of the defensive players that you want to see get a lot of reps in the preseason. And I'm not saying that preseason performance is directly correlated to regular season results. I'm not. I think there's too many variables to automatically correlate those things, but it does change the feeling around a team. And the preseason shifted my positive vibes about the team to a little bit more concern because there was a lot more unknown all of a sudden. And instead of feeling like, hey, you got the offensive line ready, you got the quarterback taking the next step, you got receivers and running backs around him, this offense should 100% take a big leap forward, and we don't see those things come to fruition. It's only natural for your expectations to shift. And what I've seen in the first 3 games, and I haven't called any of the 3 games, but I've watched the highlights and I've watched film and I've listened to people talk about it, and it's frustrating to watch. And it's hard to have faith in this group. I don't think the play calling has been where it needs to be. I've explained it this way. Tell me if this makes sense to you guys. Justin Fields, for the most part of his young NFL career, has been a one-read quarterback. Okay? Right. They've basically said, if your first read isn't there, for the most part, I know they have a lot of designs and things like that, but for the most part, if that first play isn't there, that first read, go ahead and try to find an alley, either improv, get out of the pocket, find a receiver, or just run, take off. That's how you get 1,000 rushing yards as a quarterback. And you saw them use that to their advantage in the middle of the season last year, right? They had that Monday night game against New England. There was all this talk about the Lamar Jackson style playbook and try to get some of that going. And I feel like what they've been trying to do is turn him from a one-read quarterback into a 3-read quarterback. And that is a big jump for somebody who's been so productive as a one-read quarterback to now suddenly have to change and shift what makes him special or what has made him separate from a lot of other quarterbacks in this league and try to take that out of his game plan and suddenly go, now you have to be a 3-read, 1-2-3 progression, high-low, decipher a defense quarterback. There's a lot of criticism about his processing. I think it's a fair criticism because we haven't seen it come to fruition just yet. But you also can't expect a 1-read QB to become a 3-read QB overnight. There's got to be steps in the middle there, and I just don't feel like that play calling has helped him. He certainly hasn't progressed in the way he probably should, and certainly injuries are a factor, but we hear that in Chicago all the time, and we're kind of tired of that, right? You want to see the results regardless of the personnel that's out there because you signed depth, you drafted depth, and we're just not seeing it right.
That's some great analysis right there. That's why Adam is the best in the business. But I can't talk about the Bears anymore. I'm going to get physically ill. So let's move on to the next season.
Focus on how good the Chiefs are and how fun Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are going to be.
That got nauseating
that's
too.
The Swifties, baby, the Swifties.
The Swifties are out in full force.
Hey, so Billy's going to take the show on the road, training camp in Nashville at Belmont College. We had Chip Schaefer on the show last week, and he was talking about the fact that Jevon Carter's been in the building every day. Torrey Craig has been there, veteran guys who both shot the three ball really well. And, for the casual fan, they're thinking, well, they picked up a couple of guys who are going to be role players. What's your perspective on what these two guys can add to the current mix?
First and foremost, and this is a team that I don't think they lack toughness individual to individual, but I think when you get into the grind of games, late in games, I think the guys that are have kind of been through that ringer, those two guys have been. Think about the pedigrees of those two. These guys have played in finals, and Jevon Carter's won a championship in the last 3 years, and Torrey Craig has been a go-to defender. Torrey's metrics defensively have kind of taken a little bit of a spill the last couple of years. He's still one of the solid perimeter defenders in this league. Jevon Carter, I think, did a great job as a secondary point guard behind Drew Holiday in Milwaukee and brings defensive toughness, perimeter toughness, and brings the ability to settle things down, whether it's a first or second unit. He has the ability to settle things down and put the ball in the right place. I don't know if he's going to be the starter all year. I don't know if Colby White's going to be the starter at point guard all year. I don't know who's going to begin the season in that position. I'm sure we'll find out a lot more in these next 3 weeks. But to me, what Jevon brings to the team especially is the ability to settle things down, knowing where the ball needs to go, right? He didn't need the ball. Didn't need to be a ball-dominant point guard in Milwaukee, because if he was playing with the starters, Stacey, he's going to Giannis. He's going to Bobby Portis. He's going to Chris Middleton. He's getting guys the ball where they need the ball. They had three-point shooters on that team. He got them the ball where they needed to have the basketball. So I think that's really important for a group that has so much talent. The Bulls are so talented, individual to individual, but they lack structure, I think, in situational play. When you get into the last 16 possessions of a game, those last 4 minutes of a 2 or 3 possession game, and you're only going to possess the ball maybe 8 more times, you need to be efficient and you need to be very effective in those 8 possessions down the stretch of a game. And I hope that all the individual talent on this team can trust that Jevon Carter is going to know where the ball needs to go at what time and how to exploit which matchup. That's a hope that I have for this group, and I hope that Carter is able to bring that to the table.
Well, Adam, two areas that I think that if the Bulls are going to take that next step and be a team that's a threat in the Eastern Conference to get past the first round, 2 things have to happen. Their big 3, their all-star caliber players, have to play well, and they've got to play defense. They've got to commit to the defensive end. We know they can score, but they've got to really, really commit to the defensive end this year. And then the development of Colby and Patrick Williams. Those guys now, they've been a role player long enough now that they should know now, especially Patrick Williams, hey, I can play at this level. It's time for me now to take that next step. And maybe Billy Donovan really pushing him to take that next step. Be that guy that's out there with DeMar and Zach and taking that role. What do you think about that?
I would love to see Zach LaVine average 20 a game and see his assist numbers and steal numbers go up. And for somebody like Patrick Williams to take those extra 7 or 8 points a game and be more effective offensively and get more opportunities at the basket. What do you have to prove if you're Zach LaVine anymore? We know you're one of the elite level scorers in this game. I think he's one of the 15 or 20 best pure scoring players we have in this league. Guys who can just get their own shot, get to the rim, get back behind the 3-point line with effective movement, and get shots off and make them at a high clip. DeMar DeRozan doesn't need to prove anything to me anymore. And I don't think he needs to prove anything to anybody. That hasn't been the case for a while. We know he's an elite mid-range player. We know he's a veteran, tough, great leader. We know that. We know Vucevic is as skilled of a big man as we have in this league. Probably one of the 5 or 10 most skilled big men that are playing in this league that score at a high rate. I don't need to see that. I need to see these other guys feel like they have ownership of the group of 5 that's out there at any given moment. And I would love to see Patrick Williams take that next step. if Kobe White's going to be the point guard on this team, whether it's a starter, off the bench, I don't care. It doesn't matter because he's going to play with Zach. He's going to play with DeMar. He's going to play with Vuch at various points on the floor no matter what. I would love to see him play so solidly at the early part of the season that those other guys have no choice but to trust him with the ball in his hands. I think this team comes down to trust. The talent is there. It comes down to trust in the other guys who need to take that next step. And based on the roles, especially late in games, for those stars to trust that these younger players, Kobe's signed now. He's signed for 3 years. Patrick is about to get paid either here or somewhere else next season. So I would love for those stars to have trust in what these younger guys are doing, in the steps that they're taking, and being given ownership of possessions that are important to your team. I don't want to see any more hero ball. I know it's exciting. I know it's like Stacey and I go nuts when Zach makes a big shot or DeMar makes a big shot and it's late in the game and those guys come up clutch. It's awesome. It's fun to watch those. But I want to see these other guys feel like they have ownership of a possession with 30 seconds left in a 2-point game as well. I'm not saying they have to take the shot, but I want the ball in their hands to run offense and not just turn into the isolation team that this team has had a tendency to turn into the last 2 years.
Adam, I'm sure you've been getting these questions on social media like Stacey and I have. People curious about the whole Damian Lillard thing, that the Bulls were mentioned as a possible team that could be interested. To me, it doesn't add up because they don't really have the assets to do it.
Yeah.
Portland's backcourt is set with Scoot Henderson and Anthony Simons. They wouldn't want Zach LaVine in a trade, and if that's not going to be it, you don't really have the draft picks or other assets to try to pry him loose. Plus, he's 33 years old. He's got 4 more years left on a gigantic contract. What's your take even on the fact that, that AK is probably doing his due diligence and seeing what the cost would be?
Look, if Damian Lillard shows up for the Bulls, I'd certainly be happy. That'd be awesome. Damian's a potential Hall of Fame player. He's one of the great scorers and shooters in this league, and he's a good ambassador for the game of basketball. I've always had a great experience with him. But now the points that you brought up, Mark, I think are more pertinent and more applicable now. Like, we're comparing ages. Zach's younger. He's fresher. He's got the legs. I think he does a little bit more offensively. And I think Damian's numbers have been really, really, really good for a long, long time. But also, he hasn't had as much support in Portland. He's had Nurkic. He had CJ McCollum. He had guys that weren't enough to get over the hump. The last playoff series I called for ESPN was that Warriors-Blazers 4-0 sweep, where the Blazers had a lead in the fourth quarter in every game and just couldn't put them away to try to get to the NBA Finals. And since then, it's kind of taken a little bit of a dive in terms of quality around Damian Lillard. So if you're comparing and contrasting now, Zach LaVine has a more friendly contract, which I know people weren't saying last year when he signed it, but look at the numbers of contracts around the league now. Zach seems much, much more reasonable, and it's more bang for your buck with a longer term of potential, I think, at this point. So it's not a trade that makes sense to me in terms of trying to make it happen. If Damian Lillard plays for the Bulls somehow, I certainly would welcome that. But I don't think in terms of the machinations of trying to make that happen, it really makes all that much sense. Like you said, Mark, they don't have the assets, and I think LaVine's a better buy right now.
Adam, what you're seeing a lot of teams now doing, they're starting to gear up for Denver. You look at the Lakers, They went out and signed all their players. They got more size, more depth at the wing position. Minnesota is a team that I don't think enough people are talking about. I think Anthony Edwards is ready to take that next step, and they've got the size to be able to play against Denver. So what do you think what's going on in the Western Conference, and who do you think's the favorite besides Denver?
Man, the West is really good. I mean, we've been talking about that now the last 2 years, right? Just the depth of that conference, the depth of teams, of quality teams that can all get there. I love what Dallas has done to try to add to their front court. Obviously, they went out and got Derrick Jones Jr. They got Grant Williams, guys that play defense, guys that rebound. I think that's a big key for that Dallas team to try to compete. Denver takes a hit, like Bruce Brown leaving. I don't think people really value how much of a loss that is right now. And I'm sure you'll see the effects of it. Not to say that Denver is going to struggle immaculately because of the absence of Brown, but I think when you have teams like Miami and Denver that make deep runs and then their role players go out and get paid, you see the effects of it. And they're still deep enough to make a deep run, and I still would consider them to be the favorite because of Joker. But Lakers go out and get size. Minnesota, I think, is going to be a very competitive team this year. I think Anthony Edwards is ready to take a real leap. You know, we know he's a star. He's about to turn into a superstar. I covered the USA team in their run up to the World Cup at the FIBA tournament, and the respect that Anthony Edwards has garnered from that group is very impressive. Austin Reeves, you know, he's ready to take a step and become more of a factor for Los Angeles in that group. There are players that are ready to make significant impacts that I think really heat up the Western Conference. I don't want to overlook a team like Houston. I'm not saying they're going to be a competitor for the conference, but they're going to be a team that's going to start spoiling. With their roster, I know they've had some significant issues with one of their younger players, but they still have some depth with youth. I think Phoenix is right there. I don't want to assume that, you know, Bradley Beal's addition isn't enough. I think that might be enough for that group. Ayton, Booker, Beal, Durant, the role players that they seemingly are trying to maintain and build in terms of their bench. They've had one of the better benches the last couple of years. They're going to try to maintain that. I think Denver's still the favorite, but I think Phoenix and the Lakers are going to be right there. I think Minnesota's the best of the middle of the pack right now. And I think Houston's the best out of the bottom of the bunch who's going to make an impact and maybe play spoiler or maybe even compete for a play-in spot.
Hey, what do you make of all the Giannis talk going on up the road in Milwaukee? You know, we've heard this from other superstars. You know, Milwaukee has made a number of good runs. They got the one championship, but it's an aging team. Brook Lopez is 35. Drew Holiday's 33. Chris Middleton's 32 with a bunch of injuries. And I think Giannis sees the landscape that this team is not going to be viable in another year or two. He can opt out in 2 years. To me, it looks like he's setting the stage to request a trade next summer. What's your read on the situation?
That's my feel. Again, there's not a lot of concrete evidence around the basketball world to definitively say anything, obviously. My feeling is that he sees the window closing. And he's done a yeoman's job of being an ambassador, a leader of that franchise, and for that city. He's helped put Milwaukee basketball back on the map these last several years, and rightfully so. He's one of the great superstars and one of the great ambassadors for the game we have. He's also not dumb. And I think the landscape in the last 20 years has shifted so much, Stace. You know, MJ, the Wizards last couple of years notwithstanding, again, he was kind of player owner kind of thing. You know, he's kind of part of the front office there and kind of setting up for his post-playing career. But, you know, MJ didn't want to join other teams. Larry Bird didn't want to join other teams. Magic Johnson didn't want to join other teams to try to win titles. LeBron's kind of changed that landscape, and the free agency that's followed, the way that NBA money works, that's changed everything now. And as loyal of a person as I think Giannis comes off as, and I do believe he's that good-hearted type of person who thinks about these things and is aware of these things, he's also understanding of wanting to leave a legacy. He's talked a lot about that the last year, about leaving a real legacy, about being one of the 5 or 10 greatest players in this sport. And to do that, you need to rack up a few more titles. And all the numbers are going to be in his favor. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer when he's all said and done. He wants to win more titles. And I think he also understands that taking a franchise, let's use Chicago as an example. If he were somehow to consider coming to Chicago in 2 years.
Stacey's got him coming here. He's going to hire all the Antetokounmpos. He's going to bring Kostas back and Alex.
Bring Thanasis, Kostas, Alex is going to come over.
His mother making Greek food in the cafeteria. Yeah, whatever we need to do.
You know, he's. I'm sure he's going to want to invest in our buddy Luke Canellis' place.
Yeah,
you know,
and we got a great Greek community here in Chicago.
Incredible, great. Greektown is like a half a mile from the United Center. It's right there.
You're right there.
So I feel like if he wanted to come down here, not only would he be accepted, welcomed, celebrated, but if he were to bring Chicago back to the prominence that I think I don't even want to say we're accustomed to, because it's been a long time since this team has won a title, but that we long for because we saw it in the 90s with you guys and with MJ and Scotty and everybody. Like, we want to see that again. If he would be the guy to bring that back to Chicago, that cements a legacy to me. That cements something to me to say, I went to Chicago. They wanted me. They needed me. They accepted me. And we brought him a title. If that's the story that takes place in 3 or 4 years, that cements your legacy to me. And I feel like that's really, really important to Giannis. And I'm not saying Chicago's the only destination, but I think it's a very appealing destination for somebody like Giannis, not only as a player, not only in the system or the structure, but the city as well. I think this would be a great destination for a player like that.
Talk a little bit about what Adam Silver did with the load management and how important that is to this year and the teams that kind of abused it the last few years. Because I've always said that I thought that some teams really, really abused the load management. So talk a little bit about what you thought when Adam Silver brought that new rule out.
Yeah, we got a chance to talk to some people about it last week. So I've got some thoughts about it from just having the discussions about it. It's very apparent that the league isn't saying you can't rest players who are hurt. Like, they're not suddenly saying, well, if this guy's banged up, he's got to play. I also don't doubt that there will be teams that look for loopholes to be like, well, this guy's got an ankle, this guy, whatever. That's fine. That's par for the course. That's the cost of doing business. But I do think that this guideline being in place, at the very least, will force teams like, let's say the Clippers. The Clippers are probably one of the teams, and I'm not blaming them for it, but they're an example that's fairly obvious at times because people go to see Kawhi Leonard play. They want to see Paul George play. Those guys have had legitimate injuries. I'm not saying they haven't been hurt, but with Kawhi's knee, that's been a rest play setup that they've had for a while now. That's not been any secret. So I think this is a good thing for the league. Is it going to affect every team every single night? No, it's not. But I think the nights where you really feel like it's important to not just see Kawhi sitting on the bench because he played 35 minutes the night before and they're on the second night of a back-to-back, I think that's important to see these guys play. I'm hearing younger players, Anthony Edwards in particular. I've heard Jason Tatum say this, and Tatum did it as a rookie. I think he played 80 or 82 games or something like that as a rookie. They want to play every night, and their mentality is, if we go on the road, those guys, those kids, those families, they may only be paying for that one night. They want to see me play that one night. And I know that's kind of like sounds like a narcissistic thing to say, but these are alpha players in the NBA, and they deserve to have that type of shine on them. And the ones that recognize that are the ones that I have a lot of respect for. The Tatums of the world, the Anthony Edwards of the world, guys that say, I want to play all 82. I understand I can't if I'm hurt, but I want to be out there every single night. And I want to see some of the veterans kind of stay in that mold. DeMar is one of those guys. He doesn't want to sit out.
He doesn't.
He doesn't sit out games unless he is legitimately hurt or the one time he had COVID or whatever. Like, that's it. Vucevic played every game. Zach LaVine is trying to play every game, and they made him sit early in the year. These guys want to play, and that's something I appreciate, and I know fans really appreciate it. And I think this is a guideline that's in place to curb some of it. It's not going to eliminate it, and teams will find loopholes, but it's going to curb it to a good rate, and I'm happy about that, and I think fans are, and I think it's going to be beneficial to teams and players too.
Well, you load manage, Adam. Here's how you load manage. You're playing a bad team. You say starters are going to play the first and the third quarter. 24 minutes. That's all. Bench, get ready to play. That's how you load manage. You play 24 minutes.
That's how Phil did. That's how you told me.
That's how we did it. That's how the old school did it. That was load management. Blow out a team. Let's get some rest. Don't waste any more energy on them. Second team, get ready to go out there, finish up strong, and let's get ready for the next game. That's load management.
It's like earning your rest basically.
Yes.
You, like Phil would say, you guys are playing Charlotte tonight or playing Dallas or whatever, and go, we're better than this team. Take them out in the first. I'm going to play the bench guys most of the second quarter. Starters will come out in the third. Give me 8 good minutes. Put this team away and let our bench do the rest of the work. And that's the load management, and then we'll get the flight back home. That's how you do it. That's the mentality.
And also practice. They don't do a lot of practicing. There's not a lot of practice time in the NBA now.
Right.
We used to practice every single day.
Yeah.
There were 2.5 hours a day. There was no off days. I mean, Phil would come in sometimes and go, all right, you know what? If you can win 3 out of 5 games this week, I'll give you the weekend off. He would give you these little incentives to try to win as many games during that week. So he'd force out
3 out of 5 is a terrible week for you guys.
Well, yeah, but that was just something for us to have something to shoot for. Of course, we'd win all 5, but it was just the fact that gave us something to shoot for. And like I said, I haven't been a big fan of this load management. If you're hurt, you're hurt. But just to be sitting out, because that's one thing Michael Jordan never did. I mean, I remember we go in a preseason game, we'd be playing in some of these places that, people had never seen an NBA game, and, Omaha, Nebraska, and this might be the only time they see Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen play. and those guys would come out and play at least 2.5 quarters to give those fans, their money's worth. Kobe Bryant, you go down the list of all the great players, Larry Bird, Dr. J, they understood what the fans do. The fans make the players. The players don't make the fans. The fans make the players. They're paying all these enormous salaries. You owe it to them to come out, if you're not hurt, to come out and play.
I think that's a fair assessment. I think that's being a professional to me. That's being a pro. And I understand that here's the other thing too that we kind of learned talking to some people. There is no real data that backs up the idea that load management has legitimately helped. I'm not saying rest isn't important. I'm not saying recovery isn't important. I absolutely am not saying those things because I know that's not the case. Those things are incredibly important to the health and safety of players and to organizations. I'm not saying that that's not the case, but it does feel like teams are trying to take advantage of this because somebody at some point said that this is the case. Greg Popovich would take guys out of national TV games to make a point, and obviously the Kawhi thing is notwithstanding, but we would get ready for Saturday night primetime games. That would be a back-to-back for San Antonio. And to make a point, Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr would sit their guys out and play their second unit guys. And that's when the rules would finally kind of shift a little bit. We're seeing the reaction from the front office of the NBA to say, this is too much. We've hit a critical mass that is hurting the product now. That's the thing. Guys are still going to get hurt. Guys are still going to play in a physical game and deal with injuries that are nagging over the course of the year. And if those are legitimate, yes, please rest, recover. But you have to curb some of these things when they reach a critical mass, because if the product starts to dilute, if the quality of the product is now going downwards, that doesn't help the league. That doesn't help any of the players who are earning these salaries that are market value. And again, they're earning market value. This is what the market says they're worth, and that's what they're being paid. So in turn, play for the salary that you get. Be a professional. Try to be out there. I understand it's a Pollyannish way for me to say it. I'm not out there playing. I'm not the one going through the physical rigors, but I'm a fan of this game. And I want the guys who are deserved of the accolades and the money and the fame and all that stuff and the spoils that go with that. I want them to be out there to reciprocate that to the people that do come out and support them and make them feel like what they do has value. I want to see that reciprocation.
Well, this has been an amazing half hour of intelligent sports conversation. So you know what that means. It's time for Whispers to ask a question. Whispers, what do you got?
Jeez.
Wow.
There's the intro I was looking for.
Wow.
That's it. That's the segment. That's the framework right there. That's beautiful.
His wife teaches over at Harper, and he's about to start a self-improvement class over there. I can't wait to get in there.
Sarcasm 101 is my course.
Yeah, because he makes me feel good all the time.
All you guys ace that class, guaranteed.
Oh my God.
Right. Yeah, one of the things that looking at this new season coming up, the Bulls, and seems to be an epidemic with coaches in Chicago is what about the accountability? That's the one thing that I just get concerned about, and I saw a lack of it last year. You definitely see with the Bears and these other teams. So, is that going to be rectified this year? You think?
I mean, I think this is a year where Billy Donovan has more pressure on him than at any point in the first 3 seasons he was in charge of this group, because the talent has been there now. And I'm not saying that they have played to the level that we should expect from that caliber of a roster. We've said it before, right? That was an underachieving NBA team last year, just considering the amount of talent that they have and what we expect from them on a game-to-game basis. I think there's a lot of pressure on Billy. And I don't know what contract situation. I know he had the kind of extension last year that they kind of flew under the radar for whatever reason. And that's fine. I don't know how contracts work. I don't call for people's jobs. I'm not smart enough and I'm not in tune enough with how front offices work, think, or operate for me to say that confidently. But I do think there's pressure on him now in a fashion that wasn't the case before, because you've been given tools. The tools are there. Lonzo, I'm going to try not to invoke him very often this year, because it just sucks. It's just sad, and you can't do anything about that in terms of injury. That's a legitimate injury that guy's trying to battle through. And I hope, he has a great quality of life, let alone play basketball after, he's able to recover. But that notwithstanding, you've still been given opportunities and given tools and given chess pieces to work with. So they need to come together fast. Vucevic said something along the lines of, this is the last like run that we have as a core, right? He was saying that in the run up to the World Cup. And that's a pointed statement from Vucevic. And Nikola doesn't really pull punches that much, but he doesn't really get asked about this stuff very often. He always gives thoughtful answers. And that was a very pointed remark that he made about this being the last real run for this core. So I think Billy Donovan has a lot of pressure on him to try to make it work. This might be a year where you get 45 games going up to the trade deadline. You might get up to the All-Star break and, 60 games or something like that. And that's it. Because if you're not there, if you're not where you need to be, if you're not competitive for a playoff spot, let alone forget the play-in, I think this is a team that should be competitive for a top 6 seed, like be the 6 and get into the playoffs without having to go into the play-in. I feel like if they're not there, then you're going to have to start unloading contracts. You're going to have to think about unloading DeMar, because there will be a team, a competitor out there that will benefit him, and you're not going to have him after this year, more than likely. I don't think this is a team that would re-sign DeMar DeRozan for a long-term contract, maybe a 1-year extension, but he's going to seek something else. He's deserving of it too. So I think he's going to be gone if at the trade deadline, if this team's not competing the way they should, and then you have to make considerations for everybody on the roster. And do you really get into a rebuild territory at that point? I think this will be an interesting season for accountability for a lot of people from top to bottom. And I think you're going to get 45 games to figure it out.
Well, how about that? I expected Whispers to ask you about your favorite comic book, and he turns into Mike Wallace. He hits you with the accountability question. Way to go, Whispers! Whispers, hard-hitting journalism here on Give Me the Hot Sauce.
This is like a Frost Nixon moment right there, man. That was big time.
Well, he's not wearing a funny shirt. I couldn't pick on his shirt this time.
That's true.
Hey, Adam, thank you so much for making time for us. We know you got a crazy schedule. Are you still doing more baseball, or are you done with that sport for this year?
We got the American League Division Series starting October 7th. That's why I'll be missing the first few preseason games, and Stacey and I will be back for the regular season opener against OKC. But I got to miss a few of those preseason games too, because we got football on Sundays. We got the American League Division Series coming up, and then we go right into Bulls. Man, it's all coming together these next 3-4 weeks.
All right,
you still DJing too?
Thursday night.
Where you at? Where you at, baby? I might have to come out there.
I'm at the Underground on Thursday night. I'm playing an hour at 11:50 on Thursday night. So we'll do that, and then I'm on a flight to Nashville on Friday morning to go cover the Titans and Bengals.
See, I need to be Flavor Flav when you out there turning the tables. So I need to get the crowd hyped up. Give me the mic, and I just get the crowd hyped before you can do the spinning.
Hey man, you let me know, because if I think that's a sellout. If Stacey's in, that place is getting sold out. Whatever event we're at, that's a sellout for real.
All right, big dog. Good seeing you.
Yeah, the hardest working man in broadcasting. You check him out on Fox for the baseball playoffs every Sunday, doing NFL games, and of course the Bull season right around the corner. Adam Amin, our good buddy. Thanks for joining us again on Give Me the Hot Sauce.
Thanks, guys.
Great time catching up with our buddy Adam Amin. He does just about every sport out there. He's not doing college football right now, although Jason Benetti is over at Fox, and he's calling a game every weekend. This was a great weekend for college football, Stacey. There were a bunch of good matchups.
As an alumni of Colorado,
oh no,
we took one on the chin, America. We took one on the chin.
How about that pregame speech by Dan Lanning of Oregon?
Hey, get the speech up there. So
you got that?
Speech. You got that, Francisco?
I mean, he was off the hook on that.
Look, they're fighting for clicks. Yes. We're fighting for wins. Okay, but this is the guy who invited ESPN in to listen to his speech.
There could be some payback down the road for that.
No, because they no longer play each other unless they play.
That's true. They won't be in the same conference.
No more Pac-12.
So you got a free get out of jail free card.
Yeah, you know what? And let me tell you something. Like, Deion Sanders made a very good point. Teams are not playing Colorado. They're trying to, beat Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders has been good for college football. He's bringing an energy that we haven't seen. We've seen the usual suspects. It's always Georgia. It's Alabama. Mm-hmm. He's bringing something in now. He's going to give them a run for the money when it comes to recruiting now, because he's going to be able to walk into people's houses, and his motivation that he is and how he is as a coach, that he actually cares for his kids. And I'll give him a lot of credit, because he took a butt whooping. And I was surprised that he was able to keep his composure and not, get upset about it. I was amazed at that, because, everybody is trying to beat them now. Everybody wants to beat him, and they're going out of their way to do it. Because I thought Oregon tried to run the score up.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And you consider the fact that this is the last year of the Pac-12, And going into last weekend, they had 8 teams ranked in the top 25. It's going to be a gauntlet. I mean, Colorado hosts USC on Saturday. They're going to have to play UCLA, Utah. I mean, all these powerhouse teams in the Pac-12.
Okay, so let's talk about the Deion Sanders effect at Colorado. Okay, this is a team that won one game the year before, 1-11. Okay, since Deion has been there, they have generated $95 million in the first. That was the first 4 games, $95 million. They've only got 4 games into the season. They got $95 million with endorsements and all the things that come along with it. Imagine what it's going to be like at the end of the year. That's going to probably be close to 200.
And I saw his son Shador on the national commercial yesterday. That's a little NIL money for his son.
He's making Mark. He's making about $3 million.
Is that right?
He's making. Wow. He's like in the top.
Well, good
3.
for him.
He's in the top 3 of the NIL. I mean, they're. Man, I'm telling you what. Let me tell you something.
Maybach. Did you see that? Huh? He was cruising to practice in that new Maybach.
Let me just say this, America. I just wish James and Lois King would have just waited, or maybe put me in a test tube and froze me, and then let me come out
next
now.
to Ted Williams' head.
Yeah, next to Ted Williams. Put me in the cryotherapy.
Just drop my head.
Yeah, just go to sleep. Just go to sleep.
Stacey,
be like
Stacey,
the what?
Stacey. It says on one. What's it called?
Who are you?
Who
are you? Who's this person? Did somebody just kidnap the microphone?
Francisco butting into the show.
He just jumped in.
That'd be a throat punch normally.
Yeah, it is. It is. And when you come, hold up, Francisco. When you jump in the show like this, first of all, you just come in like this, dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
So we know that it's breaking news. You don't just jump in and trying to get the microphone from Michael Jackson like that. Come on, Tito.
I apologize.
Okay.
But it says that Shador makes about $5.2 million.
Ooh,
nice.
Doesn't need any of that Deion money.
I'm gonna tell you something, man. I was born too early.
I know. You'd have
James and Lois
up.
King. If y'all would have just, maybe just turned the TV off. Maybe got that, Ricky and Lucy. Remember Ricky and Lucille Ball?
Yeah,
they had the 2 beds.
Yep.
Maybe if they had the double beds and just held off a little bit longer and just froze me, baby.
But Mark, didn't Stacey always say he took a pay cut when he went to the league?
Wow, there you go. Oh, there's no statute of limitations. Hey, America, I ain't gonna lie. I probably started the NIL in Oklahoma. I just want to throw that out there.
They just didn't have a name for it back then.
No, they didn't.
They called it
just called boosters.
Yeah. Hey, how about the game in South Bend, Ohio State and Notre Dame? I mean, that was going back and forth, the defensive struggle. Each team's blowing chances on 4th down, and then it came down to the last play of the game. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see we've got the numbers up there. The last 2 plays on the goal line. 10 players for Notre Dame defensively.
Well, how about this? Before the last 2 plays, how about knock the ball down?
Yeah.
Then you're not in that position to be at the goal line like they were. That was a Hail Mary type of pass for Ohio State, and that wasn't even to their best receiver.
Right.
Okay, they get down there right at the goal line. Notre Dame wasn't prepared. They didn't have their package out there, their goal line package, so they went out there with 10 guys. They got away with it the first time. Second time they didn't.
And the winning touchdown, it just, they did the replay review. He just barely crossed the plane right where that defensive end would have been had he been in the game.
It was a great game.
Yeah.
It was a really hard-fought game. The kid Hartman is a legit quarterback. Mm-hmm. They're going to win a lot of games this year at Notre Dame. They're going to win some games. Ohio State, they look kind of ordinary. They were size-wise, they were bigger and more physical. And how about Lou Holtz?
86-year-old Lou Holtz takes a whooping.
First of all, look. I'm going to say Ohio State is just more physical. I mean, I'm listen, America. I did not know Lou Holtz was still with us. Seriously, I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't. And then I turn on college game day, and he's sitting in the lazy boy, and I'm like, is that Lou Holtz? And I could just listen to him talking. I'm like, that's Lou Holtz. I'm like, good, he's still alive. I did not know. And then he pretty much badmouthed Ohio State, saying that Ohio State's not physical. Yeah. I mean, he really went to task on them.
And then Ryan Day tore into him in the postgame news conference.
Ryan Day could not wait to the end of the game.
Yeah.
He was looking for a camera. Like, where's
my camera?
Where's NBC at? Where's it out? Okay, there you are. I got something to say. And he searched that camera out, and he had legitimate beef. He had legitimate beef because Ohio State has always been a team that's always in the national championship. They're always close. Michigan's had their number the last couple of years, but they always find themselves in the running for playing in the top 4, the Final Four type game. So I think they're going to be there again this year. Marvin Harrison Junior really took an ankle sprain.
Yeah,
and that really kind of changed the complexion of the game. And then if you're him, you're thinking, hey man,
yeah, top 5 pick in the draft.
Top 5 pick in the draft. I might want to just go ahead and sit this one out. Hey, Ohio State, thanks for the memories, bro. I didn't want to do this, but after seeing somebody roll on my ankle and almost tear my knee up, I think I'm just gonna have to go to the IMG clinic and start working out, and I'll see y'all at the next level.
Well, you mentioned Lou Holtz, 86 years old, who's fallen off the national spotlight. One guy who's still going strong, Hubie Brown. Happy birthday to Hubie Brown. He turns 90 today, and he just signed a new contract to do games for ABC ESPN. It's also our guy Scottie Pippen's birthday. Scottie's 58 today.
Happy birthday to Pip. Happy birthday to Pip. That's my guy.
Yeah, so September 25th, a very interesting day for sports birthdays. Time now to tell you about some of the shows that we may recommend or may not, things we're watching, whether it's on over-the-air networks or streaming services, brought to you by our friends at Biggers Mazda. Their sizzling new Elgin location at Randall Road is the biggest Mazda store in Illinois. Biggers is offering a bottle of Stacey's signature hot sauce with first test drives of new or pre-owned vehicles. It's your choice, everything from the coolest SUVs to the stunning Miata. So join in on the fun at 2100 Randall Road in Elgin. It's our friends at Biggers Mazda. Stacey, got any recommendations for the folks?
Oh, yes. I've gone back, and to the point now, America, where I'm going back watching classics. So I'm watching The Sons of Anarchy. And I tell you what, man, because sometimes when you go through a series, you kind of forget things.
Yeah,
you kind of forget this person did this, and then you have a better understanding the second time around. Mm-hmm. And it's that second time around that I'm having a better understanding of the Sons of Anarchy, man. It is one of the classic shows. If you haven't watched it, America, make sure you check it out because it is a very, very good show.
Whispers, you got something for the folks?
No. So what I did, though, is I brought you guys in a gift.
Uh-oh.
Don't tell me it's a
Merkin. Just so you guys can see what one looks like.
What the hell is that?
Made from real human hair.
Turn it around,
That's what we
man.
talk about. So that's...
I thought this was Ron Jeremy's. I thought you brought something from Ron Jeremy.
A wig for the nether regions.
A chest hair, human hair, one size wash. Oh, my God. This looks like...
sell it on Amazon.
This looks like, ladies and gentlemen...
Are you advocating for people to buy that? Is that what's going on? You get a commission?
After you guys sat here in such a disbelief, I'm like, nothing's like holding one in your hand. Right?
This looks like something out of the 1970s.
Well, that's kind of the point.
America. Is this what you're talking about?
He would be so proud.
Oh my goodness! This is terrible, America.
Yeah.
This brings back memories of the 70s. I'm sorry.
We are not going to add that to our collection.
We're not adding this to collection.
Is
this real hair?
That's what it says on there. I'm not going to check it out.
says.
This is disgusting.
I'll leave that in the plastic.
Oh man!
Oh my
I'm
goodness!
going to put it back to my. Where's my Ron Jeremy?
Oh man!
So we gave you props for asking a good question to Adam, and then you come
went
out
right
with
back
this.
down to the sewer.
Well, there's another graphic that I think Franch has got to get up there. Because this is part of our conversation recently.
Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey. And you know what that is, Mark?
Stacy's favorite show, right?
Which is a man code violation.
Man code violation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, America.
Violation notice. Look at that.
Listen, let me tell you something.
Look at that photo, though. That is some great work by our graphics department.
Okay, you
Cisco,
know what?
nice job.
I'm sure Matt did this. Matt did this because Matt is.
Yeah.
You did it, Cisco.
Nice
You'll
job.
be looking for a new job. But anyway, America. I just want to say, you know what? Sometimes you got to do things to keep a happy home. Okay?
That's right.
My girl likes watching this, and I started watching it. And I have culture. I have class. I like to watch good shows. This is a very good show, Mark and Tim.
I haven't had a chance to check it out.
It is a very good show. It's a very good show, and I'm sure the ladies out there, our lady listeners, are going, "Oh man, I wish my guy was like Stacey. I wish he was like Stacey." Okay, it's tough out there. It's tough out there, America. Sometimes you got to keep a happy home.
Yeah,
can't always be watching fighting. You can't be watching all this violence. Sometimes you got to have a softer side.
So now you're one of the sexiest men in Downton Abbey too.
Yes.
Add that to the list.
Yes, one of the sexiest men in Downton Abbey, baby. Woo! I watch our women viewers go up now just because of that.
And I don't know how to follow that. I'll just give you a quick recommendation. If you like celebrities and you like sports, Welcome to Wrexham is a fun show. Ryan Reynolds does a great job, of course. He's been in movies all over the place. Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia this is a great thing. They bought a small team in Wales, and they're trying to move up from the lowest division there is in European soccer, and they've moved up the ladder. They're trying to get a new stadium built. It's just a lot of fun. Half-hour episodes on FX, and it streams on Hulu. So if you get a chance, check it out. It's a lot of fun.
Real Ted Lasso story, huh?
Yeah,
Similar.
Kind of like Ted Lasso. Yeah.
Not as Hollywood cornballish,
Well,
but yeah.
but, the
But
idea
still,
is there.
it's a feel-good kind
Move
of
it up.
thing. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to say. Listen, I saw the last episode of Winning.
Oh, yeah.
Winning Time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just terrible, man. You can't end on that.
I know.
You can't end with the Celtics winning.
People have really gotten behind it on social media. They're
Yes.
saying Netflix or somebody else should carry the ball and keep it going.
America, keep you guys keep advocating for that show. That show is a great show. I was so disappointed with the way they ended it. They should not have ended it there. They should at least let them finish that last run, and then the Lakers winning it, and then they could have went off in that way. Because you can't have winning time and then they're losing at the end.
Right.
That's
They
just
lose
terrible.
to the Celtics in 84.
Their
Yeah.
hated rivalry.
Yeah.
You can't. No, that's
Yeah.
terrible.
So hopefully Netflix or somebody else picks it up. If you haven't had a chance to listen to our interview with Jeff Pearlman, we had him on. He was the author of Showtime, which that series is based on. So check out that interview with Jeff. Go back to the episode, and hopefully either Netflix or somebody else is going to pick up the show. We want to thank our gang for doing a great job behind the scenes today, even though Cisco butted in at the worst possible time. You can't interrupt Stacey when he's on a flow.
No, you can't do
My
that.
apologies.
Yeah. You get a kid a microphone, he just abuses it.
It's like the scene from Animal House.
First time
John
I ever
Belushi's on a roll.
What's that?
Stop.
That was the first time I ever got to use the microphone.
Look at it. He's so
Well, he's
happy.
over when the
He's
Germans
"This is the
bomb
first
Pearl Harbor."
time. This is the first time I got to use the microphone. Oh my God.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
got an audition tape
Okay,
ready
from
to
here
roll.
on out,
Yeah,
Cisco,
first and last.
listen, from here on out, any breaking news, you need to come on and go, dun, 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 dun. So then we know that you're coming on.
Okay.
You just can't jump out there and start tap dancing in front of the talent.
Nah,
Come on,
do
man.
it. Nah, do it again.
So
No, you
Eric,
shut up.
Eric King is not here today. He's been here the last
No,
few
he's here.
episodes.
He's
Oh,
here somewhere. Yeah, he's here.
Okay.
He's out here running around somewhere.
What about our guy Mike? Is he waiting in the
Yeah,
parking
Mike's
lot?
here. Mike's here.
Yeah.
Mike is back's healthy. He's doing good. Yeah, it's good to see Mike. That's my guy. Oh man, here we go. Windy City Limousine provides championship service. Making a reservation is so easy, it's a slam dunk. Let Windy City break the full court pressure of traffic and get you to your destination in style and on time. Contact Wendy at 847-916-9300. Again, that's 847-916-9300, or visit windycitylimos.com. And it's been my limousine company of choice for 4 years now. And we're rolling strong.
And next week, Cisco thinks he's going to do the read, right? No, he's freezing. He's freezing up.
No,
over
yeah,
there.
he got nervous over there. He's like, "What? Really? Yeah, we're going to do this? No."
Big money spots.
Yeah.
Got to be careful with the talent there.
Yeah, you got to.
Hey, thanks for listening and watching. We appreciate it very much. Our thanks to Adam Amin. He dropped the news that he's going to be doing the baseball playoffs as well as NFL every Sunday. And the bowl season is right around the corner. So next week, it's the start of training camp. We can't wait to talk about that. We'll have some big guests coming up. So until next time, Stace.
Drive home safely, Chicago. Beep, beep.
Oh my goodness, it's only preseason, but I'm